This may be the hottest take that I've ever done on a Spotlight Cache Roulette card. Find out what's going on as I hereby summon all my imps to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So this week we got War Machine, and War Machine started life as an officer named Rhodey, who was a liaison between the Department of Acquisitions and Stark Industries, where he became close friends with Tony Stark. When Iron Man revealed his true identity, the military got a hold of one of Tony's Mark II armor suits, and with the help of Justin Hammer upgrading it, they put it on Rhodey and rebranded him as War Machine. War Machine often sides with the U.S. government, with the pilot being a lieutenant colonel with the United States Air Force. He has a deep respect for his brothers and sisters in the armed forces. He exudes loyalty and courage, and is always willing to help others get into locations by laying down cover fire so that they can get into that location no matter what else might try to stop them. War Machine is a superhero that pledges to help anyone without regard for race, nationality, or beliefs. His opposition to discrimination also includes discrimination against mutants. He believes that the role of a superhero goes far beyond fighting supervillains, and that they should also take action against global problems such as world hunger and oppressive governments. War Machine is a highly distinguished officer in the United States Air Force. Though he is supportive of his best friend Tony Stark, he is sometimes annoyed by Tony's flippant and reckless behavior. As a military man, he is a firm believer in people being held responsible for their actions, and a provider of the proper cage of command. For the most part, he remains the professionalism of a soldier and strives to do whatever he feels is right for the American people. War Machine is just a sophisticated suit of body armor, but it gives the wearer superhuman strength and flight, and core weapons such as a unibeam, a repulsor ray. The War Machine armor also includes a swivel mount minigun, firing gauntlets, a sonic cannon, rocket launchers, and other examples of heavy ordnances. War Machine is always willing to help others into locations by laying down cover fire so that they can get into the location no matter what else might try to stop them. This is represented in Marvel Snap by him allowing all your cards in your hand and your deck to go into any location regardless of the card's restriction for one turn after he comes onto the battlefield. So in Marvel Snap, he is a 4 energy, 6 power card that says, on reveal, until the end of your next turn, nothing can stop you from playing your cards anywhere. On any location, I should say. So, I personally think his 5-star rating is a 2, and that was hard for me to come up with, because there are so many people, myself included, who really wanted him to be a 5-star. I want him to be a 5-star. But when I kept going through stuff, when I kept looking at stuff, he kept getting lower and lower in star ratings. And let me explain exactly why I came up with this, because this is a very controversial star rating on him. The place that you think he works, the way that you think he works, is you think he kind of works like Jeff the Baby Rancher. where you can just put any card into any location. And if he allowed you to put any card into any location next turn, including the cards on the battlefield, it being one of the most broken cards probably out there. It's not. The closest it comes to in card relationship is, believe it or not, White Queen. White Queen is another 4 energy, 6 cost card with an on reveal effect that has an upside if you get it. The White Queen allows you to get a card from your opponent's hand. It's a copy of a card, so they still have it too. Whereas the War Machine allows you to play into any location as the upside if you get it on 4. And I know what people are saying. Well, what about stuff like Ebony Maw? Well, no offense, when's the last time you really saw anybody play Ebony Maw? And even for Ebony Maw to see play, you have to play War Machine down, and then it gives you a +7. On last turn, which is when you probably would want to see this, even if you played this on turn 5, let's say you played this on turn 5, there's other cards that come close to turn 5, where you could slot them in for a 1 slot if you already know that a location's open for it. You can do them well. So, like, for example, Ant-Man's becoming a 1/5 by itself. This is a 1/7. So, or you lock down a location and you can just play the Marta. Yes, there is a situation where you can, like, Daredevil and know where somebody's going to play something, but it's not that great. Again, you got to look at it like a location being a goose. Okay, so if a location is the equivalent of goose, where you can't play a 4, 5, or 6 on it, you still can't play War Machine onto that. You have to play War Machine onto one of the other locations. And then it opens up that location for 1 turn, which is most likely either 5 or 6, to sneak, a card in there? Maybe 2? How often is that going to be a situation that comes up? You're basically talking about a goose-like card, or you're talking about like a Sanctum Sanctorum. The problem is cards like Storm exist. And if you're worried about a location, Storm gets into more locations than you think that she does. And if you're trying to sneak something into Storm after you play her, you're better off just putting a Wong and an Armroom Zola in your deck. Or putting a Dr. Doom in your deck. Co-Obsidian is one of the best cards for a 4/10. So you're really going down on power points, putting down a 4/6 as opposed to a 4/10. So you're not keeping up on that tempo. And even stuff like Giganto. If you're trying to get Giganto down on turn 6, you're better off just playing a Sauron in your deck and just putting the Red Skull in there. Play Sauron instead of War Machine, and play the Red Skull, and hope that you get the Red Skull after you play down the Sauron. Yes, there's a mystical, magical world where you can play down the Galactus, where you play the Hope Summers on 3, you play the War Machine on 4, and you play the Galactus on 5 because of how Hope works. And Galactus can go into one of the other 2 locations. But just remember, if one of those other 2 locations is a Death's Domain, or a Rickety Bridge, or a Luke's Bar, even though you can still play into it, it's still going to activate. And when somebody talks about the big card in this, the nice big card in this, which is the Infinite, where you just throw down the Infinite on 6 and you don't have to worry about not playing on 5. That means that you have to play War Machine on 5, or have some way of getting Infinite not out on 5. So that means you have to have one extra energy generation. Otherwise, I'm not sure how you're doing it. So again, you almost have to play this on the Hope Summers. Because I don't know what other card is going to let you do this. And yes, if you throw this down, it's a big hit for 20. To get 20 points on 6. But Blob can usually get more than 20 if it's put into the right deck. And Blob really isn't seen play like it used to anymore. So I'm really cautious, really careful about how good Infinite can be. And there is a world where like Professor X comes into play. But the problem with Professor X, unless you're really building a deck around it, you have to play the Professor X on 5, which means that you're not playing the War Machine on 5. So the best way that you can pull it off is somehow get Professor X down on 4, and then you have to play War Machine on 5, which means that you're floating energy. It's just a weird, like, you almost kind of got to get away to get Professor X down on 3. Maybe some variant where you play Zabu. But that's about the best I can think about, something like this. So as much as I want this card to be a 5-star card, and as much as I hope I'm wrong, I actually hope I'm wrong on this. I hope it's a 5-star card. I hope that later down the road that somebody laughs at me and says, how could you think that War Machine is a 2-star card? The more I look at it, the more I go through stuff. It's just a white queen. And I can't say that it's better than playing a white queen in almost every situation. For the rest of the cards this week, they don't get much better. The other 2 cards we got this week are Silk. Silk just has never found a home. She's a 2/5, which means that she should be awesome for her 2 cost, and she just has never found a home. Her bouncing around is just too random, but if you're worried about location manipulation, if you're worried about the Sanctum Sanctorum, put a Silk in your deck. That's the problem. If you're worried about Sanctum Sanctorum, she'll get into the Sanctum Sanctorum. If you're worried about Luke's Bar, she'll actually get into Luke's Bar. Where the War Machine won't let you go into Luke's Bar. The other one on this one is Silver Samurai. Silver Samurai just does not make it. It's 1 less power, and the fact that it discards something from your hand, it just isn't that great. And to add insult to injury on this particular week, I already own Silk, and I already own Silver Samurai. So the only one that I can possibly get is either War Machine or the random that would actually help me out. If you think that War Machine is good, do yourself a favor and wait for once until at least Friday. Let people play it out. Let people come up with the decks before you do. If you want to go for this week, even if you don't own Silk, even if you don't own Silver Samurai, I would highly suggest that you just spend tokens if you really want the War Machine. These other 2 are not worth wasting keys on. I, however, will waste a key on it because I always do it for the content. So let's find out what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Let's all find what's in the box. Rhoey death strike, which means that I end up with 1,000 collector's tokens. Might be one of the best options for me, believe it or not. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.